So Zohran Mamdani just became the first Muslim mayor of New York City. And 50 Cent, who is a New York native, is not too happy about that. In fact, he just posted this on his Instagram, saying, "Rest in peace to New York City."
And my job as someone who believes deeply in the public sector is to ensure that we're delivering public excellence. And that means every dollar that we raise, I want to be able to prove to you that it's every dollar that's being well spent. That's the relationship there. And I do have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to many men.
And Republicans actively protect pedophiles.
DL Hughley just snapped on 50 Cent, and the wild part is, he didn't even exaggerate. DL made it clear he's tired of watching wealthy celebrities pretend they still speak for regular people while acting scared the second a policy actually benefits working folks. And now that Zohran Mamdani just got elected as the new mayor of NYC, the whole city's buzzing. But 50 jumped out the window before the man even stepped foot in City Hall. DL is calling him out, exposing him for moving like a For the People act until something real pops off.
The working people of New York have been told by the wealthy and the well-connected that power does not belong in their hands. Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands.
The shots he fired got everyone talking, and now even Mamdani himself had to step in because 50's reaction was getting dragged all over the internet. So here's how it kicked off. Zohran Mamdani just made major history. New York City's new mayor, the first Muslim mayor the city has ever had, and easily one of the most progressive leaders NYC has seen in a long time. His whole campaign was built around rent freezes, real affordable housing, and free public transit, stuff that actually helps everyday people instead of sugarcoating things for the wealthy crowd. And that right there is what set 50 off.
Here's what's interesting to me. So Mamdani is going to be the new mayor of New York, a 34-year-old kid. Like I said, I live in New York. I couldn't vote in that election, but if I could, it would have been an easy choice. But here's what I really don't understand. The man who is actively trying to use hunger to get his political way.
The minute Mamdani secured that win, 50 hopped online acting like the city flatlined. He posted a picture of a tombstone that read, RIP NYC, with the year of passing listed as 2025, like the whole city just collapsed overnight. Then he doubled down by posting a picture of himself at dinner with his crew, captioned, "Escape from New York, hit the road. All roads lead to Shreveport." Like he's warning people to flee the city before it's too late. And just so it's clear, Shreveport isn't some random spot. This is the place 50's been pouring serious energy into.
Saying that people won't have food unless they do his political bidding. Is saying that the man who wants to make rent cheaper, public transportation cheaper, and food cheaper is the one who is ruining in America. So the man who wants to starve you to get what he wants thinks that the dude who wants to feed you, house you, and get you, make you able to get around cheaper is the horrible one. That tells you everything you need to know about where we are.
It's a city in northwestern Louisiana where he's building a whole entertainment and film empire through G-Unit Film and Television. He leased studio space, announced a massive $50 million entertainment district, and has been branding Shreveport as the new headquarters of his business moves. So when he says, all roads lead to Shreveport, he's not joking. He's steering the whole conversation toward his new empire. 50's basically pushing the message that if anyone wants to lock in with his new empire, they better start looking toward Shreveport, because that's where all his projects are headed now. But the real question is, why is he so pressed about Mamdani's win? The answer's simple once you look at the money. Mamdani's plan includes raising income taxes by just 2% for people making over $1 million a year, plus bumping the corporate tax rate to around 11.5%. Nothing wild, just a push to make the system fair.
Say to you, 50, if you are indeed watching, or anyone else who's watching this show, is I continue to think that having the top 1% of New York City, who are making more than $1 million a year, having them pay 2% more for an economic agenda that would transform every New Yorker's life, including their own, is something that is worthwhile. I have to say, even though we have a disagreement on tax policy, every time I get a death threat, I still listen to Many Men. It's true.
Well, you take Many Men for motivation. I was going to say your answer sounds a little bit like clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
Wow.
And if we had more time, we'd do more 50. Can we?
He also wants to fix that messy property tax setup that lets billionaire penthouses dodge higher taxes while homes in places like the Bronx get hit harder. That alone had folks cheering because the math has been upside down for too long. He even talked about shifting some of that tax weight off working class neighborhoods and onto elite spots like Central Park South, the same places where luxury condos get sweetheart deals while regular homeowners get squeezed dry. And that is what had 50 in his feelings, running around online acting like NYC took its final breath just because the wealthy might pay a little more. But the internet didn't let him slide, not even for a second. The comments came in fast, and they were roasting him with no hesitation. People called him a sellout and said he's acting like he forgot his roots. One person said, guy who sold crack to his community suddenly cares about their well-being, and folks weren't holding back at all. Another user reminded him that when he was shot 9 times, his hospital bills were covered through taxpayer programs. And someone else added, your grandma was on food stamps. Another fan even wrote, won't be long before he's in Tel Aviv, kissing the wall, LOL. And that's when DL Hughley stepped up with a message straight at 50. DL said it's wild seeing someone who came from real struggle now crying over policies designed to help the same people he once stood beside. He basically told 50 to stop fronting because supporting regular folks shouldn't be a problem for someone who came from that same world. DL didn't hold back. He called out how all these rich celebs stayed silent when Trump was out here cutting food stamps and using hunger like some twisted political strategy, but now they're panicking and telling New Yorkers that Mamdani is the one they should fear. It's wild how quiet they were back then, but suddenly they found their voices when a mayor wants fairness for regular people. Mamdani even stepped in and clapped back at 50 Cent himself. After 50 joked about paying him $285,750 just to leave NYC, Mamdani laughed it off and made it clear that 50 clearly doesn't understand how taxing the top 1% would actually help everyone else. He didn't drag him, he just calmly explained the facts while brushing the whole things off like, bro, relax. But 50 kept pushing the drama. He later posted a clip of Mamdani's response on Instagram and added a caption saying, I think his intentions are good, but his tax plan is going to run the big money out of the city. And if he defund the police, they are going to purge. All roads lead to Shreveport. Like he's starring in some apocalyptic movie. It was dramatic for no reason. Now let's break down what 50 wrote, because it's a classic scare tactic straight out of the rich people playbook. Rich folks love threatening to dip the second someone mentions a tiny tax increase. But this bluff is older than half the skyscrapers in Manhattan. They've been saying this since the 1970s. And guess what? They almost never leave. Why? Because they know New York is where the real money circulates, and they're not giving that up. Here's a perfect example. Bill Ackman, a billionaire hedge fund guy, went all in attacking Zohran Mamdani during the election. And he didn't keep it classy. He went low, posting racist nonsense about Mamdani, calling him dangerous, painting him as some threat to the city, and bragging that he'd move to Florida if Mamdani ever won. But look at the switch up. The second Mamdani was officially announced as the winner, Ackman suddenly tweeted, Zohran Mamdani, congrats on the win. Now you have a big responsibility. If I can help NYC, just let me know what I can do. Wait, what happened to packing bags for Florida? What happened to running away because the city was doomed? That man folded instantly and started offering help like nothing ever happened. The minute Mamdani won, the tough talk disappeared. And suddenly Ackman was playing friendly like he never said a word. Let's talk about this idea that rich folks like Ackman or 50 were really going to pack up and disappear the second Mamdani won, because that was never the plan. They weren't leaving New York. They were trying to spook people before the election, the same way wealthy folks always do when they feel even a tiny shift in power. They start screaming about fleeing, acting like the economy's about to collapse, and suddenly pretending they're the victims. But here's the truth. These billionaires are not running anywhere. New York is where their business moves happen, where their investors sit, where their networks live, and where the money flows every single day. They know good and well they can't recreate that in Florida or Louisiana, no matter how low the taxes are. So instead, they bluff hard, hoping the fear alone will pressure politicians into watering down their policies. And when that doesn't work, they flip the script instantly. They act friendly, pretend they were supportive all along, and play the team player role like they didn't just try to scare the whole city. The situation with Ackman and 50 proves it. Once their money even gets slightly touched, they start fear spreading, start pretending they suddenly care about the working class, and then right after the election, boom. They're still here, still rich, still doing business like nothing happened. Now let's get into the other thing 50 said about Mamdani supposedly defunding the police. If 50 actually paid attention to what Mamdani said, he would know the man never talked about stripping the entire police budget. He talked about rebalancing it, putting more money toward housing, mental health care, and real community programs instead of pouring endless millions into a department that still can't prevent crime before it happens. That's not extreme, that's common sense. Cities that invest in people instead of punishment see lower crime rates, not higher ones. That's a fact. There's nothing purge about it. It's just smart policy that tries to solve the root of the problems instead of throwing money at the same broken systems forever. So while 50 is online pushing fear, talking like the rich are gonna flee and the whole city's gonna fall apart, let's keep it real. That storyline only benefits the people at the very top. Regular New Yorkers are stressed about rent, bills, and catching the train to work. Meanwhile, 50 is complaining about a tax bump he can easily afford from his mansion in Houston. And that right there is the disconnect DL Hughley was calling out. The moment someone who built their whole legacy off get rich or die trying starts acting like the real issue is regular folks just trying to survive, you know something's off. It's wild watching people who came from the grind suddenly talk like progress is some kind of threat. Because honestly, this situation isn't just about 50 Cent or one billionaire throwing a tantrum online. This is a whole pattern. Rich folks trying to scare everyday people into believing that anything meant to help working class communities is dangerous. They act like fairness is the enemy, just so they can keep things the way they like it. Meanwhile, Mamdani is out here talking about improving life for regular New Yorkers. Rent relief, better public transit, fair taxes, actual resources. And somehow, that's what has these wealthy folks panicking. And the funniest part, the same people yelling RIP New York aren't packing a single bag. They're still here, still investing, still making money off the same city they claim is done. It's all talk. But now I want to hear what you think about this whole situation. Do you really believe 50 Cent when he says Mamdani's plan is going to ruin New York? Or does it look like he's just another one who forgot the struggle the second he hit millionaire status? Drop your thoughts. Hit that like button, subscribe, share this video, and I'll see you on the next one.